Cris Collinsworth of NBC on the phone. How are you, Chris?
Good, Rich. How you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. So, boots on the ground here in Cincinnati. What are the fans here in this town feel about the Bengals' chances moving forward, you think?
Well, the Bengals they're in first place, so you have to start there. That's all good. I think that until you see A.J. Green and Mohamed Sanu together and really going full guns and maybe a little bit of Giovanni Bernard thrown in there, you don't really know what this team's going to look like. But it has been a little bit of a struggle lately. They're like everybody else in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're playing Jacksonville or you're playing whoever, that you're going to have to, prove that you can win week in, week out. And it's not always pretty, but they're in first place. And tonight they'll try it with a couple of their star players not in there. I think Leon Hall's their best corner, and Vontaze Burfict's their best linebacker. And so it's going to be a challenge.
And Cris Collinsworth of Sunday Night Football, NBC Sports, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And the Browns are eyebrow-raising, to say the least, here at 5-3. Do you think they have a run in them to take this division, Chris?
It would not surprise me at all to see this team come out here and win this game. I think they're a physical bunch. I think they've proven that they can run the football. You're a little worried about since some of the injuries. I know Jordan Cameron's not playing in this one. Alex being out and Mac out in this one, and there's certainly some concerns. But this is a team that they've got nothing to lose, right? I mean, the only thing that you worry about with them, I think it's been since like 2009 since they've won a game in the division on the road. Now, granted, this is a tough division, but this is a team that you have to give Mike Pettin credit. They look like a typical AFC North defensive oriented, can make some plays before some of the injuries up front started happening, that they were really good running the football, and the whole Hoyer Johnny Manziel thing's about as interesting as it could be. The Bengals passed on Manziel. They easily could have taken him if they had wanted to. So all that stuff is kind of an interesting debate. But Brian Hoyer is a homegrown Cleveland, Ohio kind of guy. It's been a great story this year.
And the Bengals at 5-2-1, the Browns at 5-3, technically playing with house money tonight. On Sunday Night Football, you are seeing a team that is on the verge, and they can have their house blown down by the big bad wolf in Green Bay. And the Chicago Bears come in on edge and on the verge. What has been wrong with the Bears in your estimation, Cris Collinsworth?
Well, you got to start with what they've done defensively. I mean, they can't get off the field. I watched the game of the first game between these two, and they were matching, just going the length of the field up and down, and then there was a little bit of a fluky turnover, and then there was the play on the goal line right before the half where it looked like they had maybe gotten in with Martellus Bennett, and he was like an inch short last play, so they got nothing out of that drive. But they've got some issues up front now on their offensive line. But I think it's been mostly on the defensive side. And can they shut down this high-flying offense? Now, the good news for them is that they'll have a couple of guys back that did not play in the first one. Jeremiah Ratliff and Jared Allen, two of their primary pass rushers, didn't play in the first one. And the Packers now, it's conceivable that both their guards, T.J. Lang and Josh Sitton, could miss this when they've been missing practice this week. And I've always thought of those two guys, along with Balaga, as kind of being the strength of this offensive line up there. So, and you've got Aaron Rodgers. You got your two guards potentially out, and you've got Aaron Rodgers, who's coming off that hamstring that clearly hindered them in the game against where they got beat against the New Orleans Saints, the last game we saw. So there's some reason for hope on this team. Willie Young, I think, has probably been playing the best of their defensive ends, and because of the injury to Lamar Houston, he'll get a shot in this one. So I think there's a chance it'll be tough, but maybe if they get bad weather in Green Bay, it might actually play to the favor of the Chicago Bears. Matt Forte had a big day running the football, and the big question about the Green Bay defense is, can they stop the run? Last in the league.
So, and we have Jared Allen and Aaron Rodgers joining us later on this edition of Rich Eisen Show. That the poll question involves who's going to win the AFC North. So, Cris Collinsworth, my last question to you is who is going to win the AFC North? Who would you vote for in our poll question?
I think that one is really tough right now. You watch the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense the last two games, and it's been unbelievable. It's like the greatest show on turf times two kind of thing. 6 touchdown passes, I guess, in each of the last two, and Ben's been fantastic. They're starting to get some of those young receivers going, so if you had to pick one right now, you probably lean a little towards Pittsburgh because they have 2 remaining against Cincinnati. But I still, in my gut, I still think that Baltimore could turn it on. I think physically their front 7 can be dominant. I think their offensive line can run the football and do great things running the ball. So it still would not surprise me to see the Baltimore Ravens make a late run this year.
Cris, thanks so much. Safe travels to Green Bay. Say hi to Al and Fred Godelli and everybody else there on the NBC gang.
You got it, Rich. Have a good one tonight.
You bet.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.